Okay, Mac, for viewers out there, it kind of goes hand in hand. Like if they're having a hard time in transition, if they're having a hard time with their third ball, getting it down, what can they do on the serve that will freaking help their third ball?
Yeah, go for a deeper serve. The deeper the serve, the bigger the serve, the shorter the return. You're probably not getting a lot of errors. Maybe at a certain level you will, but if you can just get short, weak returns, your opponents are late coming in, it gives you a bigger target on your third, whether you drop or drive, and it negates the returner's advantage.
What do you guys always say too? Like, don't be afraid to miss a few. Like in that whole process, right? Like
don't be afraid to miss
trying
a few.
trying to get there, trying to do some new stuff with your serve, or trying to get it deep. Like, don't be afraid to.
The risk is worth the reward. What's going on? My name is Tyson McGuffin. Welcome to the McGuffin Show. Happy to be back. I got my two favorites here. K-Mac is coming off a couple weeks of traveling, but now he's back in Squim doing his thing. K-Mac, what's going on, buddy?
How you doing, guys? Excited to get the crew back.
Get the band back together. Actually, talking about the band, come next week, Wednesday, we're going to push out our first new educational video. Super pumped about that. Talks about the push dink. So for all the subscribers out there, make sure you guys tune in. We're going to start posting instructional videos 1 to 2 times a month. Other content we're going to be posting is boilers and then pots. So super excited about that. And
Looks good.
yeah, I got some kind of a fun thing. I got a new brand partnership taking place with this company called Hyperice, and I've been using Hyperice forever. Actually, I got my content guy Colton here with me right now, and we were at the Selkirk headquarters this morning and filmed some fun new content with the Hypervolt and the Venom. But anyhow, I've always been a huge believer in added recovery, and obviously, as you know, I'm only getting older and have way too many children. So being able to wake up the next day, feeling a little fresher, less inflammation, always been huge, always been key for me, and always been key for my success. So definitely happy for that partnership.
No, for sure.
Older and better looking, right, Tyson?
Yeah.
Isn't that the line? Older and better looking.
I get older and the teeth get wider. Okay,
No more kids though. That's not no more.
Right.
No, but we travel with all the Hyperice stuff already. It's
Pack
nice.
it in.
It's easy to like bring with us. You use it on the sideline. I think they're a partner of the tour still. They were if they're not still, but yeah,
Probably-
it's an exciting.
Probably the
partnership.
biggest Hyperice advocate is Ryan Sherry. Literally, that guy lives with that Venom backpack or with the
warm
Venom
up.
little Venom
Yeah.
vibration and heating pack on his back. I kid you not, I'll see him in that thing all day long as he's playing. He's playing his first match in it.
Sweating profusely.
Heat
but
up
he still
that
needs to
back,
heat
right?
the back up.
With added drinking comes the Venom. Okay?
You got to balance it out. Got to balance it out somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see here. Okay, so first and foremost, K-Mac, did you see that baseball player that just signed a deal with the Dodgers, 10 years, $700 million?
I did, man. That's pretty crazy. I mean, I knew it was a ton of money, and I was a big baseball fan when I was a kid, so I don't follow it religiously anymore. But I looked at a chart where it said that $700 million or his $70 million a year is like more than the roster of like 8 other teams, their entire roster. So it just puts it into context. Right. I mean, of just how crazy that is.
His name is Shohei Ohtani. And crazy thing was that most athletes that have Tommy John surgery, so he used to play for the Cardinals, best pitcher, best hitter in the game, never's been done. The guy's throwing fastballs like 102 miles an hour, and he's banging home runs. And the crazy thing was that most athletes after Tommy John surgery, like you don't come back, whether it's baseball,
you're not the same
tennis. Steve Deacon had Tommy Johns and couldn't play professional tennis anymore and came to the dark side and started playing pickle. But I mean, it's crazy for him to have a surgery like that and to come back and get that deal. Stud, and, bro. LeBron James throughout his whole basketball career has earned like $550 million. Kind of puts things into perspective. But
right,
big money.
Crazy.
Big boy money. Also talking about some big money. John Rahm just signed with Liv, 3-year, $300 million. Not too shabby.
Crazy.
Just give me $1 million.
Yeah, I think he was one of those guys that was pretty critical of Liv early on, and then so. There becomes enough money where it's hard to say no. I get it.
Yeah. Liv, looked this up right before the pod. Liv offered Tiger a deal like their first year of starting out. It was a 3 year, $700 to $800 mil.
Whoa.
Right, and he turned it down.
Purist.
Yeah, totally.
No,
totally.
Yeah.
But Lakers win in-season tournament, kind of cool. AD had like 40 points, 20 boards, total stud. Braun, 38 years old.
He's screaming on the sideline, I'm him.
Yeah, he's like, I'm him. Braun played like 35 minutes, I don't know, 28 points, something like that. The guy's still doing it. Come on, right?
Well, showing kind of like the LeBron of old level of dominance. You know, I've got a good buddy of mine, huge fan of basketball, and he's watching every step of the way. He's like, we just haven't seen this from LeBron. And what a cool idea for a tournament to get those guys having something to play for early in the year where they're actually playing defense. And I think the structure too is, you know, I think they got like a $500,000 bonus or something like that for each player, which isn't a big deal for LeBron, but the guys that are rookies that aren't getting that much, like it's a way to play for your teammates that maybe don't see as many minutes. So great idea from the NBA.
No, it's cool. No,
it's
for
cool
sure.
to see something like so established, like continuing to like reinvent, right? Or like, you know, keep growing viewership or getting creative and
talk about reinventing or just adding more. Like take a look at the Live Tour. They also do individual standings based off of the team stuff. MLP could do the same thing.
Right.
Mix.
And they should. I really think they should.
Like, add more to the story, add some different events.
Right.
Added some skinny singles. I will not lose in skinny singles.
Yeah, Tyson can grind with the best of them in skinny. I know this firsthand. He gives very little away.
He has the most reps.
K-Mac, tell me, who do you think? Come on, let's say.
Who plays more?
Top 3 male skinny players in the world. Who is it? Who is it? You don't have to name
I mean,
me.
I gotta go you and Ben, because I mean, Ben can grind all day and be tough to attack through him. And I don't know, Riley. Riley's just, such a competitive.
Half court is a dog.
Yeah, for sure. I go you, Ben, and Riley. You, Ben, and Riley.
Too funny. Scrappy. Scrappy. Okay, let's see. Moving on to MLP. I know it's a sore subject for you, but just want to get your insight.
Yeah, no.
First and foremost,
congrats, hon.
Yeah, congrats, total stud. Yeah. You guys had a great season. Kicked our ass. We never saw you again after that. But first and foremost, San Clemente, lifetime, sick facility. I mean, probably one of the better facilities that we have.
Yeah, no, for sure. It was a great spot, a great for the PPA, and I know they kind of reformed this last MLP event, and I don't think it was bad or a failure by any means, but I don't know your thoughts, but I just thought that not the same level of energy there on center court that we saw in Dallas and Atlanta. I just think maybe not having all the teams there just wasn't quite the same, or the fact that it was just right after, a successful PPA event. So it was a lot of fun. I felt like, no excuses, for my team and my group. We definitely got outplayed our first match against the Squeeze, lost 3-0 and just didn't play as sharp, and then lost an absolute heartbreaker to Chicago. But I felt like, I felt like I was trying to be the hype man as much as possible, but just the crowd wasn't quite as big. It just was a lot of pickleball over several days. So there just wasn't that same like buzz and energy in the environment that we saw in other events, I thought.
Yeah, I think not having all the teams there.
Do you think Monday, Tuesday had anything to do with it?
I think also it comes to show too that like the energy was low. The players are more than spent. And I kid you not. I mean, Ben in our match seemed out of it. Seemed like he could care less. And for God's sakes, the guy comes through, finds a freaking way. Teach me how. He looked out of it. And not throwing any shade your way at all. But for them to put in Lang and freaking Lacey first mix match, seemed like he was throwing it. Right?
I've been back and forth on that, Tyson, trying to understand the tactic. And then the fact that it works. I mean, think about that. So they're down 2-0 against us. They've got the number one player in the world. Yeah, no, I've been trying to be like, did he just chess me in some fancy way that I don't see here?
What on earth? Why did he make that decision?
I mean, honestly, I really have no idea. I've got to think. He wanted a certain matchup. But even that doesn't make sense because he's never shied away from wanting to take on Riley. And I got to think he would think that we would put Riley out there to close out the match. So I'm just leaving it with giving mad props to Eric Lang. If you look at what he did, I mean, so against you guys, if they don't win that, then they go to a dream breaker with you guys.
Right. We've already beat
and
them in a
you
dream
guys
breaker.
are probably not going to lose in a dream breaker to anybody with the 4 that you guys have. So that was essentially a must win for them. Must win against us, against Riley. So our number 1 team against their number 2 team, and he gets it done in mixed. And then they do the same thing to extend it in the finals. So all 3 matches, it comes down to Eric and Lacey in mixed. The knock on Eric going into MLP was good men's doubles players, doesn't know how to take over in mixed. And he wins with his back against the wall 3 times to extend the match. Plus, like you said, like in the final, I don't know if you watched it, but even Adam Stone said, like in their men's, Ben has lost his knee bend. Like they were struggling in men's. It looked like Ben was just like, all right, it's not our day. And then somehow they still come back. So I don't know how it happened.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, congrats to Eric. Congrats to Lacey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah. They all stepped it up. I thought Lacey looked extra sharp too.
Right.
Like just continuing to get better and better and less errors more polished.
And her hands are really looked like they've
Heavy.
stepped up a notch. Like she's much tougher to attack these days. And like you said, just keeping her errors down, and that's what it takes.
And for a girl that's not all that big, obviously I played on the Hustlers with her the very first season. Played lots of practice matches against her. Watched her play countless times. For how small she is, the backhand punch is heavy. It's probably like a top 5 backhand counter.
Yeah.
And the wild thing too is that, tell me, did Lacey and Eric not win any mixed matches in Atlanta and in Dallas? I don't think they won.
I know they really struggled in Atlanta. But to be honest, I think even in Dallas, I think it was kind of the same where Eric's losing all these matches with Ben, where you're like, oh my gosh, Ben never loses. How are they losing there? And then Eric was winning a good chunk of those mixed matches. So I don't know what clicked. He's clearly way more comfortable on the left than he is on the right. But
for sure.
To go into that, having a reputation, not being an amazing mixed player, he's really, something's clicked for him. Clearly.
He found a way. And the big man, how old is Eric? 38, 39?
40, I think.
Okay, 40.
I mean, close,
40.
If not exactly 40. Yeah.
And the guy played good singles, right? He played well in singles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
no, for sure.
But
Just a warrior and like clearly a vocal leader on that team, right? Because Ben's going to be the captain. He's going to be making the decisions. But in MLP, you need energy. You need vocal energy and positivity. And it just looked like he carried that through his team the whole way. So look, to be fair, so did Jesse as well. Jesse was getting loud for her team too.
Yeah, cool. Jesse can play that role. But let's touch on this. So Dream Breaker, Christian's playing Ben, 2016. Oh, hang on. So hang on. Riley and Kawamoto had a match point in the first mix, correct? Against Eric and Lacey?
I think they had one. I'm trying to remember.
Right. Pretty sure they had one. It was like 2019. Lang and Lucy, not to remind you, but Lang and Lucy come back, win 22-20, right? And then
no, for sure.
Ben and Jesse win 21-19 against Christian and Kawamoto. And then Ben plays that ridiculous point at 2016 and literally shows no emotion after. Zero. And then Lacey
just goes on straight autopilot.
Right. So and then it went 19-20, and then Lacey won 3 in a row, correct?
Correct.
Sorry.
Correct.
Jesse won 4 in a row. That was in the finals. Jesse won 4.
That was against Orlando. That was against Orlando. Right. Yeah, no. Jade put us ahead. I think Christian, had to serve it out against Ben. Obviously going to be tough to do. And he was doing what he did in the final. I mean, repeated the final of the PPA. He's driving and crashing. Yeah, that's just trying to make Ben feel pressure. They played a crazy point. Somehow Ben fought it off. Right. And then Ben, I think, got at least 1 or 2 on his serve. But we were still ahead going in with Jackie against Lacey. Yep. But Jackie's not a singles player. Lacey obviously has been much more seasoned in singles lately, and she just reeled off 3 in a row.
And let's just touch on this. Like, even though Ben doesn't get beat a whole lot, the times where he does get beat in singles, the times where I've had success is the old drive blindly and get your ass in there and crash and guess the right way. Trying to draw now, if you're playing with a super poppy paddle like that new Gearbox Power, you can sit back, bang, and close your eyes and just wish, right? But with most paddles, you have to drive, get in his vision, get up there, and guess on that that fifth ball, but it seems like that totally works.
For sure. No, I mean, he's so disciplined. I mean, if you drop to him, you're going to have to like initiate a cat and mouse point to win. I mean, good luck stringing several of those together. And if you drive, you're aiming for such small targets to hit a clean winner. And if he just makes the volley, he usually stays neutral in the point. So it seems like the guys that just play complete chaos are the ones he fails pressure against, like Colin Schick, for example, somebody who's just crazy reckless on the fifth ball. And with Christian's closing ability, he covers as much territory as anyone in a short period of time. And that's the blueprint.
Christian's probably got one of the faster, more explosive stabs moving forward, and that definitely helps in singles. Take a look at Fed beating Ben in Kansas City, right? Or sorry, she's not in Kansas City. Where was that?
It went 3. Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
But same thing. He ended up driving aggressively and literally crashed like there was no tomorrow. On that very last match point, he drove, somehow like poked a fifth, won the point. But it seems like that uncalculated style of singles is the only way. Take a look at
the only way. Just take his time away.
Right,
Don't be calculated. No, he's an anomaly.
Take a look at. I think it just comes to show like how much of a tactician him and Colin are too. Take a look at Yame and Wyatt Stone. Like Yame sped up. Obviously there was only like 10 minutes of that match that was filmed on YouTube, but they played on like a side court. They're in Daytona. I thought there was no way they would win that match. They ended up winning in 3, like 12-10 in the third. Granted, it was windy, but Yame just played super aggressive on the left, blind aggression, not calculated at all, and seems like that's the recipe.
Well, and that's why you see them, if they do lose, it's usually early in the tournament, right? Where a team just we've got nothing to lose. Let's just go for it. But once they get deeper in the draw where they play the other teams that are calculated, that's how they got there. They seem to always step it up.
No, so true. Take a look at Ben in PPA Tour Finals, right? Like loses first round against Connor. The next day in mixed, they lose. Anna Lee and him lose first round against James and Anna. The time when to beat that man is when he's still halfway asleep and it's in the morning. I told my wife this, and I've been crying about this for the longest time. I can't tell you how many times PPA events I roll through my half of the draw on Thursday, don't lose a game, beat everybody in 2. Ben scrapping away, wins his quarters in 3, wins his semis in 3. And then, of course, I meet that man on Sunday, and guess what? Yeah, he bends me over real quick.
He's usually got a few other events under his belt on Sunday by the time he comes to singles, too.
That's what I was going to say. You got to push for like a 9 a.m. singles final. You play him at 2 o'clock. That's not what you want.
Singles first, then mixed events. Please.
Play him early.
Get him early.
Oh, too funny. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so talked about the match points. How do you felt like the team chemistry was? Just, obviously playing 3 events throughout the second season, getting to know the whole team, getting to know the ownership group. You feel like you got your kind of family after a couple?
For sure. And it's something that I thought a lot about when they asked me to be the coach of like, okay, part of my job is help creating a culture a little bit. And I think it worked out really well. I didn't treat any one of my players exactly the same. I got to know them a little bit and realized that, Riley's going to want like direct, competitive, short, clear info. Like maybe Christian needs to be built up a little bit more, at least when I first got to know him and a little bit newer on the scene. And then the Kawamotos being twins just had so much natural chemistry together. So, I obviously still coached them, but I let them work a lot of things out themselves. So it was great to just get to know them as people. I think we're really sad that probably going to be on different teams going forward, but couldn't ask for a better ownership group. Those guys, had my back and the players' back, the whole time. So it was a great experience. Sad to see it go, but excited to see what, MLP will be in the future.
And low key fact here. So is it John Gartman? Is one of the owners?
Josh is the GM.
Sorry, so GM. Okay. So
Adam Benke's the COO, like basically right hand man of Al Tylis, the main owner.
Okay. So I had it's John, correct, or Josh? Josh. I had Josh's dad, John, in a camp. Level Up camp back in like 2019 in San Diego. And it's such a freaking small world.
So what I didn't even realize, Tyson, is when they like introduced me to Josh and everything, it took me a minute to realize Josh actually took a camp, I believe, that I led like
Oh,
a year,
no
year and
way.
a half ago. So like, I was like, man, he seems so familiar. Have I seen him in a tournament? And
Yeah,
sure enough, he let me know. He's like, yeah,
K-Max.
I took your camp. He's been K-Max.
Oh, it's too funny. Come on.
That's awesome.
But no, Josh, great guy, drafted a heck of a team. I mean, happy that we did well, but objectively, like on paper, we had one of the most complete rosters, I thought.
Yeah. And so Josh's role as acting as a GM helped with some of the recruiting or some of the drafting process. Would he handle?
He was heavily involved in the draft. That was before I got hired.
Right.
So I got hired after the team was already set.
Yeah. And then does he I guess what's his main job just with the team, like scheduling practices or keeping the team together?
Yeah, I mean, I would say myself and Jackie kind of handled most of the scheduling stuff. I mean, Josh was just there kind of to show support throughout the actual events, and he'll do a lot of scouting, for the team as far as like any new people to pickle, like that you're getting rumors on. How good are these people? He's trying to get footage and just staying up on anyone new coming into the game.
Got it. So he's a diehard.
For sure. Oh, for sure.
Love that. Okay, so tell me, give me. I think I know this, but give me your best memory as a team. And I want to know. I think I know what your best memory is: winning, right? But tell me,
it'd be tough.
Did you guys party your ass off that night or not?
No, we didn't. Honestly, I'm going to throw Al on blast here. Al told us that if we get the win, at some point he's going to get the private jet out, and we're all going to go for like a weekend party somewhere. So we're still waiting on that from Al. But we just with scheduling, we all had flights out like that night.
Right.
Like we had to just head to the airport right after. So we sent like group photos of all of us like having a beer, a celebratory beer and all that. But honestly, even without winning, just the environment in the finals at Dallas, just the energy level, it was just absolutely electric. Nothing like I've ever experienced before. Atlanta was really good too, but something about Dallas just felt bigger. Again, maybe just I felt the pressure of wanting to get the job done that time, but just, MLP, even when you're up 2-0 and ahead in a match, anything can happen. So the relief when you get that final point, there's just really nothing like it.
Don't tell me that's better than seeing me get beat up on Championship Sunday by them. It can't be better. Hey, come on.
Second.
Close second.
Over there thinking on the bench. What can I tell this guy? He's getting blown up.
A close second.
Too funny. No, I was just going to say, speaking of MLP, I didn't know if we want to talk about kind of the new shakeup and where the teams are. So they had a little Dutch auction, and which I guess with the Dutch auction, like they start at a high price, or they give a high price and they keep like slowly lowering it until someone bites on it, and then that's the price. Then they try to do it, right, Kyle? I think that's Kyle's just explaining too, but
so I could be a little off with what exactly a Dutch auction is. I thought that maybe they made silent bids, or everybody basically said, what's the amount that like the most that we'd be willing to pay in order to be premier. And so they took the 12th place team, and I guess it was 400,000. So then all the other teams that maybe set an amount higher than that still just got capped at 400,000. So they all gave 400 grand. So they raised like 4.8 million. And then the top 12 are premier for the next 3 years. And then the bottom 12 that bid under that are going to be in challenger.
Yeah. And I guess to rewind a little bit, like if the viewers aren't sure, but part of this whole, so there's like all these different parts to trying to get this merger to go through. There's different components to that. There's fundraising. Obviously, this is a fundraising effort. Also, players are taking pay cuts to help in that regard. And then obviously there's some other investors that are, bringing in more money to kind of sew this whole thing together. And so everybody's kind of collectively doing their part. So kind of interesting way. But yeah, I've got the teams here if we want to know who's premier and who's challenger. So it looks like premier is AZ Drive, LA Mad Drops, Seattle Pioneers, Columbus Sliders, New Jersey Fives, St. Louis Shock, Dallas Pickleball Club, New York Hustlers, Texas Ranchers, DC Pickleball Team, Orlando Squeeze, and Utah Black Diamonds.
Come on, Miami.
So those
Pay
are
that
the 12. Dang it. Okay. So the challengers are Atlanta Bouncers, California Black, or BLQK Bears, Las Vegas Night Owls, Austin Pickleballers, Chicago Slice, Miami Pickleball Club, Bay Area Breakers, Florida Smash, Milwaukee Mashers, Brooklyn Aces, Frisco Pandas, and SoCal Hard Eights. So, yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
I'm surprised the Slice is challengers.
Yeah.
Same. I was surprised for them. And then I'd heard just that Seattle hadn't been doing like a whole lot for their players. This was a while back. So I'm a little surprised that Seattle did as much as they did if they weren't, doing a lot as far as being involved with the team, at least back in the day. So a few surprises.
There's lots of wants and needs when it comes to MLP. So funny. Some of the things that I've heard from players is like PJs, private chef, private masseuse, IV nurse. Not gonna name names.
So it's getting a little unreasonable with what they expect is the norm. Maybe
if I come, take care of me. Okay, I want body work nightly. I want an IV, and I want to wake up feeling like $1 million. Okay,
it's
and
on top of that, pay me a fat salary. Okay?
Please. Well, I think that happened the very, very. Everybody was like super amped up after people. All the PPA players were allowed to play MLP again, right? And I think that was like the big major season when everybody was back, and so you saw this whole wide range of different accommodations. Like some teams getting these like massive houses, chef, masseuse, and then some were like, we got a discount at the at the Holiday Inn or whatever. We got a group code, So I think what was really funny about that though is I think teams were pretty vocal. Just because everybody was excited, so they were like showing off their digs, right?
Players are talking about it.
Players are talking. But then I don't think the results necessarily reflected the pampering, and so I think some teams are like, okay, like we pulled all the stops and we didn't even. I don't know, qualify or whatever. But
if you're going to 0-3 in mix, you're not getting a private chef. Okay?
Better reel it in with some of these expenses.
And we won't name names, but I believe there was a team that said, hey, we'll reimburse your expenses if you make it to the finals. So there was
incentivize them a little bit
there. Right. So I believe it worked actually. I think it did. Right. It incentivized the team. So
dang.
Anyways.
Let's see here. Anything else on MLP?
I think we're just still, unless you guys have info, just kind of the waiting game as far as like when the draft will be, what that'll look like.
Yeah, I think, we don't really have any info on that yet. But I think, if there's one thing that we could speak on that we haven't really spoken on.
Get this merger to take place.
Yeah, this merger has to go through. I think we all should be on the same page with that. I think you see some players are speaking out about it. Some haven't quite yet. But I feel like everybody's really... hopefully everybody will be doing their part in trying to get this thing pushed through. And I think the thing to remember, regardless of where we ended up or where we started or any of that, I think at the end of the day, what anybody is walking away with, and if this thing, this merger goes through and this whole thing's a success, it's a win for everybody. And a sustainable future for both of these tours, both the MLP and PPA, which both bring something completely different to the table. I think it's like the biggest, baddest package moving forward, and to get bigger sponsors on board, or the big sponsors that we already have to stay on board. It's just so crucial that that this merger goes through. And so just hoping.
For sure. I think if both entities can survive and thrive, that's only going to be a great thing for all the pro players that are involved in that. And then I guess we haven't touched on this, but the pay decrease or the pay cut, obviously it's easy for me to say, hey, no issue. The money, you'd rather get a good amount of money rather than the amount you were hoping for, if that means making everything work. But Tyson, what are your thoughts on the pay cut and everything involved with that?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat as I know pickleball.com posted statements from Ben and James. I'm kind of on that same page. In order for them sustainability to make sense. I think players have to take the cuts. I think obviously there was deals thrown around that were a little out of reach, and there was a lot of competition with both MLP and PPA, so they kind of had to do that to a certain degree. Put them both in very tough spots. So I think at the end of the day, in order to make this thing work, players have to take cuts. Obviously, it sucks, but like what we have both mentioned is that players are in a much better spot.
Yeah. This might. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I think. I think Ben stated this, like the pay that we got with our original deal was like 5 years ahead. You know, it was like, you know, and so to knock it back a couple years and take a 40% cut, I'm gladly more than inclined to do that. And I just think it's kind of wild too. Like, it seems like there's deals with MLP right now where you can play both sides. You can play APP, you can play PPA, you can play MLP. Then obviously there's PPA deals that are super exclusive just to PPA and MLP. It's messy right now, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think this might be a controversial take, and I'm not speaking for you. This is my opinion. I feel like regardless, I mean, unless someone can convince me otherwise, the money that players are getting, everybody from bottom to the top, it's all like found money. You know, like it's all exponentially more than what players were getting in previous seasons, and it's guaranteed. So I guess, like, yes, we could all, and I guess tricky if you already spent the money or, you know, something like that. That definitely sucks now looking back or whatever. But I think, to me, I don't know, looking at it, regardless, everybody's in a better spot than they were. But it's really hard to see that, I think, when you're just thinking like, but I like, hey, this is what I signed for, this is what I want. But I think in the same regard, like, it'd be really hard if you were faced with the decision, do you want to take this or nothing? You know, I think everybody would choose to take that. And so I just hope that, like, I don't know. I hope that little bit of frustration that maybe some players have regarding it wears off pretty quickly, because in the grand scheme of things, like, everybody's ending up ahead. And if we can all pitch in and get this thing rolled through, like, there's only bigger and better things to come. So
I would say my main piece of advice for players out there that are kind of butthurt about it is lower your pride, lower your ego, get active on socials, get active with content, and freaking bring in some brand endorsements, because obviously that's all very top heavy. But if you like make your stuff authentic, if you actually apply yourself, if you put yourself out there and spend a little money, you don't just have to bank on your player contract. There's money out there,
right.
and I can't tell you how many players.
It's just one pillar, yeah.
And all these players are butthurt about their deals and butthurt about taking 40% pay cuts. Get active on socials. Okay, well, that's my piece of advice.
And just look at any other sport out there. I mean, tell me another sport where that's not like a team sport or a franchise sport where you have this big guarantee. I mean, there's these really big established sports that have been around forever, and there's not those kind of guarantees. So, like, I don't know. I mean, we spoke about this before, like, when this whole thing happened and all this money came to these players, like, there is like a side to it where it's like, you're absolutely happy for everybody and hope that it all puts everybody in a better spot, and it only drives the level up and all of the above. But in the same regard, like, there is a little slice of it that's like, there are some that like work their butts to get here. I mean, then there's some that just stepped in.
It's the whole principle of everybody gets a ribbon.
Timing.
Everybody gets a participation ribbon, right?
Right.
Take a look at ATP, WTA, PGA, UFC, most combat sports. Performance, get your ass out there and perform, and be active on socials, right? There's no big guarantees. You don't get like any sort of guarantee to show up. So
right.
It's life.
Right.
But Tyson, just talking with some of the other pros, have you said, would you say it's kind of like a mixed bag as far as how they took the pay cut? Some pretty upset about it, some kind of get it, or I think, would you say there's a general consensus?
I was going to say, from what I've heard, I think they were surprised how many people just said, yep, no problem, and took it. I think they had some alternative things if that wasn't going to work out, but I think they were all, I think they were happy to see, because remember too, like, players aren't just taking some players are just taking a pay cut without without anything else. But a lot of the players that are taking the bigger reductions, they're actually taking a reduction in work days as well, or events that they had to participate in. So it's proportional. So it's
Evens
not
out a
like
little
they're
bit.
saying, hey, we want
Right.
you to take a pay cut. Now, some of the big guys, just took one and just did it for the good of the sport. Like, they're still going to play everything and still do that. But I think at some of the lower levels, like, they're trying to make it fair, right? Like, we're going to ask less of you, but
gotta
we're
be
also
fair.
going to pay less. But in the same regard, like, the amount of money that are going to these players is just so much bigger than what they would have ever gotten on tour before, So I don't
And they
know.
can still have time back now to where they're going to get that guarantee, and then have a lot more time to build their brand, to get more active on social media, or teach more, or just do something to elevate their status in the pickleball world.
Right. And I think something to remember too is that these were mostly 3-year deals. Like, this money wasn't going to just keep going and going and going. Like, these were just, this was money to just acquire the players. And so, it's still, to us, like, even, I guess all this to say is what we said last time. Whatever you end up getting, wherever you land, like, use it wisely, build your brand. If you want to stick around in the sport and you're not just like taking a quick payday and then going to figure out something else in 3 years, like, do it the right way. That's the only way that, this works out long term. So.
For sure. Okay, K-Max, we got some new partnerships for next year. Thomas and Riley. We got James and Matt. We have Jack and Catherine, Deckel, myself. So firstly, Thomas and Riley, PPA Tour Finals, lost in 4. I thought they looked good. Thomas is a stud on the right, probably top 5, top 4, top 4, top 5 right side guy. Riley obviously does his thing on the left, doesn't freaking miss a ball, scraps away. But I thought they put on a nice little show.
Yeah, I said kind of in certain corners for a while that I thought that Thomas Wilson was on the short list of the right partner for Riley when he was shopping around. I think he has the temperament to just sit there and grind if he needs to. He's got a ton of feel on the forehand, but he has kind of the attacking arsenal, kind of the creativity with the way he attacks. I think that's what someone needs if they're going to be lined up with Ben in front of them to make Ben feel a little bit of pressure. You got to go uncalculated or creative once in a while. So I think he's a good fit for Riley. I think that they're going to be a really tough team throughout the year if they stay together. And I think as he was kind of searching for who was that right person for him, I think Thomas is the clear choice of the people that he's played with.
Yeah, and Thomas is upbeat guy, good energy, good vibes, probably one of the nicest guys on tour, but also in the same sense, like when the going gets tough and he needs to be competitive, the guy can be gritty as could be. And I think, even Thomas on the left, like Thomas playing mixed, I mean, it's tough to find that man's backhand. The guy runs around everything, dictates with the forehand. And it just comes to show that, like, if you have the wheels and you have that creativity with your forehand, you have that much shape, you can dictate by using your feet and finding forehands. Probably.
Yeah, and you can hide the backhand if you're dictating most of the time too. So if you're hitting aggressive enough balls, you can leave a hole once in a while.
Yep. And probably his only knock is that the backhand counter. There's not much offense on the backhand side, and then the backhand dink's a little shaky. But he finds ways to kind of work around it. But I think that team's going to be good next year for sure. Probably a top 3, top 4 team. Let's see here. James and Matt. So Declan and I just played James and Matt tour finals. Good team. James is definitely playing the left. When I think we obviously just touched on this. James early on in the year had a hard time in transition, wasn't able to get established, wasn't all that comfortable, probably wasn't really able to swallow being the guy on the left. Now he's a brand new man. And I think something that's truly helped him is MLP. None of those 002s passed, and obviously he was using my white and gold signature 002 with MLP. That wasn't passing, and you can't use white, obviously. So he got pushed into using the power air because that was like the only Selkirk that was actually passing. And with that power air, I kid you not, that purple and pink power air has the same heat, has the same pop as a black and red 002, just with more feel. But what he's able to do with his left hand, how he's rolling the living hell out of that backhand dink, he's playing well. His transition's better, he's blocking better, and he just seems a lot more comfortable over there. Something that I mentioned to you earlier was taking a look at that match at Nationals. Him and Loon, Loon hasn't done a whole lot this year, but sounds like Loon is drilling a bit more. He's playing a bit more as he totally should. But Loon looked great in that match. He probably had like 15 to 20 earnings, but James was out dinking Ben on the left. Ben was having to reset his dinks up the line. Tyler was earning, or simply he was just out dinking him and forcing Ben to make unforced errors. But Jimmy with that little two-hander, rolling it across and then being able to hide it and poke it line or speed at the person in front of him is pretty damn good.
Well, it's kind of surprising too. If you look at like the women's game, how many of the top ladies just roll the heck out of their two-hander dink. And there's not that many guys that use it all the time. Right. Seems like usually guys are a little more one hand with the slice. And I mentioned this to you. I think the best way to make Ben feel pressure in that backhand cross pattern is you've got to be able to go top spin to his backspin. If you just go slice to slice, Ben's so comfortable not giving up any ground. I mean, he's like 99%, it feels like, with those dinks. And so as long as you're going top spin, you can at least make him at least reset or change the pattern a little bit more. And if James can get the feel at that world-class level with his athleticism, with the power that he possesses, pickleball world better watch out. His upside is huge.
The last couple months, he's a brand new man for sure.
And everybody knew it was in there.
No,
just to say,
the guy's uber talented.
Yeah,
I think now he's
always has been there.
He's taking care of his mindset, and I think he's starting to like invest more time into mentally just being sharper, being tougher out there.
For sure.
Obviously, he plays 7 days a week, 4 hours a day there in Boca. Just lives on the courts. And not to mention the guy. I mean, Deck will serve as a bomb. James's serve when he cranks that thing and he can trust it and let it go. Thing's a bomb. And then to follow that thing up with a cannon third ball. But in that match against Ben and Colin, I mean, back to how to beat the Johns. Like, he's playing messy as could be on the serve and the drive, making it making it ugly. And then once he got to the kitchen line, he was just out dinking Ben and then finding different ways to speed up at Colin. But yeah, when he can get all those things working together, it's a dangerous man.
So cool.
It seems like just knowing how to use his game better. And I think he even probably, has mentioned that you kind of were instrumental in telling him to go for the serve a little bit more.
Jimmy.
Like, why are you just laying that thing up? Like, go after it, set up your next ball, look to take control of the point a little early. And I think that's just going to be the standard with the serve going forward as this game progresses. It's no longer just going to start the point, even in doubles. You're going to always use it as a way to apply pressure and just gain any advantage you can.
Okay, Mac, for viewers out there, this kind of goes hand in hand. Like, if they're having a hard time in transition, if they're having a hard time with their third ball, getting it down, what can they do on the serve that will freaking help their third ball?
Yeah, go for a deeper serve. The deeper the serve, the bigger the serve, the shorter the return. You're probably not getting a lot of errors. Maybe at a certain level you will, but if you can just get short, weak returns, your opponents are late coming in, it gives you a bigger target on your third, whether you drop or drive, and it negates the returner's advantage.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys always say too? Like, don't be afraid to miss a few. Like, in that whole process, right? Like,
don't be afraid to miss a few.
Trying to get there, trying to do some new stuff with your serve, or trying to get it deep. Like, don't be afraid to.
The risk is worth the reward.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, in that match, we made it messy as all hell. We hit the living piss out of the serve, drove thirds, and obviously Matt did his thing. Matt, I mean, the guy's what, 40, 44, 45, I could be totally wrong there, but still playing at a world-class level. I mean, what he can do with his soft game without bending his freaking knees, playing with that slice of paper, 10-millimeter Onyx Premier, stupid. And that's where...
he still doesn't miss dinks.
No, the guy doesn't miss dinks and doesn't use his legs, and he's using that little stiff bazooka of a freaking paddle. And I swear, that thing sounds like a cannon. Does it not?
It's a rocket, absolutely. Like and he still has the touch to dink, to get the lob working. But yeah, no, it definitely enhances his hands, which are already pretty dang good.
Yeah. But yeah, so game one, we ended up putting putting too many balls over to Jimmy. We ended up losing game one like 10-12. And then from then on, isolation Matt, Not gonna lie, make him feel his age a little bit, move him around. And it seemed like that was the winning recipe. But still, a very good team. I think that team's going to be top 3 next year. Sad.
So Tyson,
go ahead.
When you say move Matt around, you said you were playing the right, he was playing the right.
Yeah. Yep.
What did you do strategy wise to get him moving in that right to right pattern?
Yeah. So I think he's not the quickest man moving forward. So I think off the start it was going big on the serve, getting him to be moving in as he's hitting his 4th ball, but serve aggressively at him. He's late coming in, drive the 3rd ball, try to crash and beat him there. If we were unable to beat him there, he wasn't taking a lot of forehand dinks out of the air. He was kind of sagging back. And I think Matt, when he's at his best, he's taking dinks out of the air, he's leaning in, he's using the lob. And I think that's when he can bring the offense and he can, do a lot of things. But in that particular match, he was sagging back. And so I was just kind of hitting push dinks, going inside foot, outside foot, moving him, lobbed a couple times cross court, but just made the man be mobile. And we were able to get some freebies from there. He was starting to speed up at Deckel at wrong times. Triple D was putting thunder punches back at him, and Deckel's a stud, man.
Big Deck.
Deckel's a total stud. It was my first time. I mean, I've been playing. I've been competing against Deckel since 2016. Never been on the same side of the court with him, and I'm not gonna lie, it is very glorious to be on the same side of the court with that big man. The guy's got a lot of power. He's doing a lot of things well. And I think we're going to do a lot of damage next year. So definitely pumped about that partnership.
It's exciting to see you guys play a bunch of different high level teams. Obviously it's the top, the top of the top in the finals.
Well, how many close matches were in those pools?
That's what I was going to say. It's crazy. And it is cool to see you guys take everything to 3. Like it was like you were figuring it out. All
lost to
throughout
AJ
the day,
and Julian in 3, lost to the Johns in 3, and then finally won 1 and 3 for gosh sakes. And then we were all so it was a 3-way tie, right? It was all 1-2 and 1-2. Yeah. And then if we would have beat Matt and James like 5-5 or 6-6, we would have won in point differential, but ended up going 3. So all good.
So they advanced based on the points.
But I mean honestly, we should do more events like that. Like just like take a look at like NBA in-season tournament.
Yeah.
Like do the top 8 in the middle of the year. Get best of the best. Private tournament. See if you can get some spectators out there, and then do it at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I think if there's any knock on like how many events the PPA has, it's usually familiar faces at the top and in finals. So anytime they can change the format of an event and just mix up partnerships or just change it up in any way, it keeps us diehard fans that are going to watch anyways just a little more excited. It just keeps it different.
Right. Okay. Jack and Catherine. So you obviously saw Jack play in North Carolina.
Quick preview.
Yeah, so I think they're going to do really well. I think that Jack's, once he really commits to a couple months of training, it's going to be scary. I mean, the only thing is, how good is his backhand dink, right? That's the one area people are going to try to find. When he played with Anna Lee last time, he was able to play the left and run around so much, similar to a Thomas Wilson. You just couldn't find the backhand dink much, but he was playing with Anna Lee, who's very comfortable playing a lot of court with her two-handed backhand in the middle. That's not going to be quite the same with Catherine as far as her ability to be offensive from there. So do I think they're going to come through and just mowed people down? No, I think they're going to have a few early exit tournaments, but I think they're going to make some finals as well. Yeah, for sure. And Jack's only going to get better and better, has such a huge upside, similar to Ignatowicz, just athletically, he's on another level than most.
Yeah. I mean, take a look at the serve and the drive. That's a huge weapon. The footwork, being able to like run around, be super explosive with his feet, find forehands. He's got great hands. I think it's going to be a very good team. So,
with Tyson contest that Skechers did.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, the winner. That was good. He had those really. They had to interrupt him during the interview and said, "Sir, are you wearing shorts?" And he said, "Yes, for optimal athletic performance."
Remember that guy that we had in our camp?
Oh yeah, he went all out for that contest.
Oh my god,
bro! Remember him showing up to the camp? He had like this like Goodwill tracksuit on, mullet, mustache, And then, halfway throughout the day, starts getting warm, takes off his sweatpants, takes off the coat. He's got tiny shorts on and like a crop top belly button shirt. I'm like,
he was like an out of shape doppelganger for you. The same charisma, same energy,
out, hairy stomach.
I want to know how long it took him to draw on Sharpie on all of those tattoos, and they like matched. He had like pretty perfectly.
They looked good. Yeah, they looked
like
good.
A lion on his chest. He called him Leo, and then he has like his massive.
He
water
gave the
bottle.
lion a little drink.
He's like feeding Leo.
Leo, you need a sip. Oh, here you go.
Optimal peak performance.
Oh, yeah.
You know it.
We had to play that. We'll have to find that clip and play some of that. It was so good. Too funny. But
K-Mac, what do you have coming up?
I have a break, man. I'm excited. I've got like 3 weeks home with the family. I'm excited to just get back into stuff. Honestly, for me, like get back into training a little bit for pickleball. I feel like I've been coaching so much. Right. Be nice to get my game back. Have a couple weeks to do that. So I'm excited.
Love it. Okay, well, let's see here. We're going to Vegas this weekend. It's going to be an awful time. Raiders game Thursday. Going to be in the Miller Suite. Dumping Miller all over my head, 50-yard line, taking my clothes off. And then, let's see, Ben Greenfield's going to be there, him and his wife. We're lucky enough that Ben got us hooked up with UFC tickets on that Saturday. But Friday night, we're going to do dinner with Ben and his wife, Craig and his wife. Stallion's coming in, red hot. Saturday morning, this guy's pumped. This guy is pumped.
Sure. Been talking about it for weeks.
Bro, sure. We've been marinating on this for months.
I heard we're getting there early.
Yeah.
We got to get all the prelims in. We're going to watch all the
fights. We get there nice and early. See every single second of all those fights. But yeah, it's at T-Mobile.
It's your birthday weekend, right?
Birthday weekend.
The
T-Mobile.
fights are on his birthday.
Yeah. Best card of the year. We're like 10 rows up. Same thing. Miller on the head. Clothes are coming off, and then we're going to Marquee after. Have some fun. So.
John Summit too, I think.
Johnny
on
Summit
one of the days.
Thursday night.
Okay.
Yeah. Two of my favorite restaurants in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Momofuku. That's a crazy name.
Good.
K-Mac, don't know if you've ever had roasted duck.
I have not.
That's
their class. Is that in the Cosmo?
It is.
Or Marquee?
It is. The Cosmo?
It's in Cosmo.
Okay.
Yeah. It's in Restaurant Row or whatever that is. It's on like the 4th floor. Or
K-Mac knows his way around Vegas.
He does.
Very swanky Cosmos.
He knows his way around Vegas.
Casino,
You know it's bad when you know you can tell the casino by the smell. Like you got to do like a smell test. Like, okay, Mac, what casino is this? We'll just give you the smells and.
Probably Bellagio. I mean, I know the ones that have poker rooms. The ones that don't have poker rooms, I'm less familiar. But the ones that have poker rooms, I know pretty well.
Yeah. Let K-Mac get those hands dirty. And then also, too, a place called Zuma. Zuma's in the Cosmo. Zuma's right next to Marquee. But bomb sushi restaurant, Wagyu steak. It's all there. I'm gonna take my money. Give me your
no shortage of good food in Vegas. That's for sure.
So much good food. But anyhow, love you guys. We'll get together here soon. Subscribers and viewers out there, new content coming out next week. We'll also have a few pods that come out as well. Camp schedule is going to be coming out in 2025. We've been waiting on this. Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
So anyhow, but I've been telling my wife basically every morning for the last 2 weeks, if the camp schedule doesn't come out by tomorrow, I'm choking somebody out.
That's it. I'm
choking somebody out.
Oh, perfect.
But camp schedule is going to be coming out this week. If not, she's getting a spanking. And but yeah, be looking for the camp schedule. And appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys next episode.